Okay, hi everyone. I'd like to welcome you to a new video from runhorse.com sports. We're going to present 10 tips to help you win at Blackjack. And Blackjack is a very fun game. It's a very common game in the casino. We want to offer you 10 tips to help you win at this great casino game. And if you've never played Blackjack, it's also known as 21, and the object is to get 21 without going over. If you get an ace and a 10 dealt to you, that's Blackjack, that's 21, and you get paid 3-2 normally, so 20 wins you 30, and 100 wins you 150. It's a very, very simple game to learn. There are some tips that we're going to offer you to help you become a better player, so let's get right into it. Okay, let's get into tip number 1, and that is to learn the basic rules of the game, and you have to strictly stick to those rules. And basically what you want to do is, if you have 11 or less, you always want to take a hit. And if you have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you want to stand on those cards. You're going to stand because it's not worth the risk to try to improve your hand at that point. To hit on 17 or 18 is folly. It's very, very low chance of you drawing a winning card there at that time. And you always have to assume that the dealer has a 10 card in the hole. That's what you always want to assume. So if you have, these are the hands that you have a decision on. If you have 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16, 12 through 16, you pay attention to the dealer's card that he has face up. Because if the dealer has a 2 through a 6, you have to assume that the dealer has a 10 below in the whole card. So he has a 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16 underneath there. And those are all bad hands, and you're going to assume that the next card is a high card, so he's going to bust. So if you have 12 through 16 and the dealer is showing 7 or higher, you hit. If you have 12 through 16 and the dealer is showing a 2 through a 6, you stand. You have to assume that the dealer is going to take that bust card and he will bust instead of you. So that is tip number 1. That is, follow that basic strategy. Very simple. Okay, let's move into tip number 2, and that is to always double on 11 except against an ace. Okay, so on Blackjack, you're allowed to double down, and what that means is you're doubling your bet. So you can actually put out another bet, and you can take one card only, and you can go ahead and double your wager. So on 11, it's very, very favorable, because if you have 11, you have to always assume that the card coming out is going to be a high card. It's going to be a 10. The most cards in the deck are 10, so you have to always assume that. You want to double on 11 because you're very likely to get a 20 or a 21, and that is the best hand possible. So if you have $20 bet out there, you say I want to double down, you put 20 out, and the dealer will give you one card, normally face down, and they will expose that after their hand is completed, after they played their hand. Now, the only time I would say not to double against 11, it's very, very conservative play, and I like to play the game very conservatively. That's how I like to play Blackjack. I would not double if the dealer is showing an ace, because it's very likely you have to assume that underneath there he's going to be pulling a high card as well. To me, it's not worth it in that situation, but some people, if you want to play more aggressively, you would also double on if the dealer is showing an ace. So, best of luck with that tip. Okay, let's move into tip number 3, and that's to always split aces and 8s. So it's very, very important. You want to always split aces and 8s. Now, the reason being is if you have 2 aces, together they don't make a good hand, but an ace can easily make a blackjack, and that's what you're always looking for, is the ace and the 10 combination. So if you split cards, what you have to do again is you have to put out another bet. So if you have $20 bet and you get 2 aces, you tell the dealer, I want to split these cards. They will move the cards apart, and you have to put another bet. So you have basically, they're going to make 2 hands out of those aces. You're going to get another card on each hand. And in that case, you can only get 1 card on each hand because aces are so favorable that any high card will make a 21 or a 20 or 19, something like that. So you've got to expect that you're most likely going to get a very good hand out of that. So you always split those aces. Now, the thinking behind 8s is you also always split 8s. And you don't split 8s because it's a good hand. You split it because it's a horrible hand. It's the worst hand possible. 16 is the worst hand possible. You have no hand that can beat the dealer because the dealer has to draw. If the dealer makes any kind of hand that he'll stay on, he will beat you. That is the worst hand to have, and you're most likely to bust on any card that you will take. Any card over a 5 will bust you. You will go over 21, and that's called a bust. You lose. That is the least favorable, so you're going to go ahead and split those 8s. If you get 2 10s, something like that, you can hope for 18 on both hands. And it's not ideal, but it's much better than having 16. So that's why you always split aces and 8s. Okay, let's move into tip number 4, and I really like this one. I would say and this can go for any game in the casino, but especially blackjack, to set an amount of time that you want to play and make sure that you're going to leave when you reach that amount of time. And I would even suggest setting the alarm on your telephone. Everyone has these mobile phones now. So I usually pick a amount of time I want to play for. If it's 2, 3, 4, up to 5 hours. I don't like to play for longer than that because you start to get tired and you start to make mistakes. And I don't really recommend that you drink a lot of alcohol when you're playing, when you're gambling, because it tends to cloud your judgment, and that's what the casino wants, and that's why they offer you that free alcohol all the time. So I would go ahead and pick maybe 3-4 hour session. I set my alarm on my phone, and at that time I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk away, and you can always come back tomorrow. And if you haven't won your money by then, it's most likely that you're not going to end up a winner, and if you keep playing, you may end up losing everything. So that is tip number 4, to set a time limit on your play. Okay, let's move into tip number 5, and that's to select a proper bet amount. And this is a question I often get asked, and it's how much should I bet per hand at blackjack? And that depends on how much money you have to play with. That's your bankroll. So if you come to the casino with, say, $200, I do not recommend that you risk any more than you have to always have 20 times your bet amount with you. Okay, so you're gonna have 20 times your base bet amount. That's what you're gonna have. That's your bankroll. That's what you have with you. So if you walk into the casino with $200, you can only bet $10 a hand. Now, a lot of people are gonna try to go for more than that, and they deplete that bankroll very, very quickly. You always want to have at least 20 chances, I like to say units of play, to win or lose, and that will keep you playing for a little while at least, and you're going to get some entertainment out of that. So I never recommend that you go that crazy. So that's something that you should always do. So if you want to bet $20 a hand, you got to come into the casino with $400, and that's my advice. So always make sure you have 20 times your base amount as your bankroll or with you, and that is what you should bet. I also want to mention that if you ever run out of that bankroll, if that bankroll is ever gone, do not go to the ATM, do not pull out more money, walk away and leave, come back another day. It's just not your day. If you cannot do it with 20 units of play, you are not going to be a winner in that day or that session. Okay, let's move on to tip number 6, and that is make sure to get rated to get those casino comps. Okay, getting rated simply means that they keep track of the amount of time that you're playing at the casino and the amount of money that you're betting, and that's what the pit boss is there, or the supervisor, that's what their job is to do, and they keep track of that, and that is how you earn comps in the casino. And if you don't know what comps are basically free money that you can go ahead and use to either place bets, or you can get free hotel rooms sometimes, you can get free buffets, that kind of thing, depending on how much you play and for how long you play. So you're always going to get rated when you're playing any table game. So you present your player's card. If you don't have one, they will give you a player's card or your identification, and they will put you in the computer if you're not already there. And if you are in there and you've been there before, they're going to go ahead and mark down when you started and when you leave. And that is called getting rated. So that is very, very important if you want to get any of those comps when you're playing, and I would encourage you to take advantage of those, because why not? Those are going to help you in the long run, because you are expected to lose at blackjack or any other casino game. The house has the advantage, even though the advantage is smaller in blackjack. It is not a bad game to play if played properly. You want to take advantage of those casino comps. Okay, let's move into tip number 7. That has to deal with insurance. And should you take insurance or should you not take insurance? Now, I would say not to take insurance, and that is strictly across the board. You should never take insurance, because in the long run, it's a losing bet. It's a losing bet, And the casino offers insurance because they make money on that bet overall. And if you don't know what insurance is, it's when the dealer is showing an ace, and the dealer will ask you if you want to take insurance on your hand before he or she looks at their hole card and determines whether they have blackjack. If they have blackjack, you automatically lose. He takes all the money at the table. So some people will go ahead and place a side bet, and they will be basically betting on that the dealer has blackjack, and you're getting 2-1 on that. It sounds attractive, but the dealer is not going to have it that often to make those 2-1 odds viable. So you're better off just not taking insurance. There's going to be times that the dealer has it, but if you take insurance overall, you're going to end up just losing more money. So if you're a regular player, or you are going to play even a few times a year, it's just not something I would recommend in the long run. So just do not take insurance. Okay, let's move into tip number 8, and that is, as your bankroll increases, you can actually increase your bet amount. Now, I talked about that earlier. You should have 20 times your base amount. So if you're betting $10 a hand, you should have $200 bankroll. Now, if you've been playing for a while and you're up to $300, now you can go ahead and you can raise up your bet amount if you like, because you have that 20-1 ratio. So you can raise up to $15 a hand, and that's the direction I would go in. And like I said, you cannot get crazy. You're probably looking to double your money. If you double your money, that is a good session at blackjack. Do not get greedy and walk away. And that's why I say set the timer, because even if you played for 2-3 hours and you had your entertainment and you picked up a little bit of comps as well, and you're $50, $100 ahead, betting $10 or $20, you should be very, very happy with that. That's a very, very good outcome, and you should just walk away. You can come back tomorrow and you had a very good time and you had a winning session. You should feel happy about that. Okay, let's move into tip number 9, and that is, if the dealer is super hot and drawing 20 and 21 all the time, and he just seems to keep pulling all blackjacks and things like that, it just could be a bad shoe. It just might just be a bad shoe, and it's just the dealer just has the luck that time, and you just see where there's tables where the dealer's just wiping out the whole table because he just keeps pulling 20 and 21 and blackjacks, and some people just keep playing. And in that situation, when I get into a situation like that where you got a red hot dealer, I would just take a break. I would just take a little bit of a break. You can always take a 15-minute break. Go get yourself a coffee. Go walk around the casino. They'll hold your space for you. Go to the bathroom and come back. Maybe get the next shoe, or maybe the luck will start to change, or they will switch dealers. Sometimes that will change the luck. Or if it's getting too ridiculous and the dealer's just killing you, just walk away. You can find another table. There's lots of tables at the casino. There's not just one. So if you're losing at one, either take a break, come back later, or find another table. And that's what I would recommend doing, because you just get at some tables where that dealer's red hot, and it does not matter what you do, you're going to end up a loser at that table. So walk away or take a break when the dealer is red hot. Okay, it takes us to the last tip, and that's tip number 10 on how to win at blackjack. And that is that counting cards is impossible today, so don't even bother trying. We've all seen those movies, and we've all dreamed about Breaking Las Vegas, teams of counting cards, and back in the day when there was one deck, they were dealing one deck and they were shuffling, or they even had 2 decks. I mean, it was possible. It was possible to count cards because you only had 52. There's only 52 cards in a deck. You can actually count 52 cards or a couple decks put together. But the casinos have gotten hip to that, and they are wise to people counting cards. They know all about it. It's been researched over and over, and casinos have shut that down completely. They have eyes in the sky, which are cameras everywhere watching you, pit bosses watching you, supervisors undercover watching you, first of all. And the most easiest way they have to deter this card counting is they're using multiple decks now. They're using 6, 10, 12 decks. It's impossible with all those cards put together for you to count cards. I mean, you could just possibly have ace after ace coming out in a row, or 10 after 10. And I'm sure you've seen it if you've been playing blackjack recently. And that's not how it used to be back in the day. I mean, there was only so many aces possible, so when they were dealt, you had an idea that they were gone. So that could give you an advantage either way. Now that advantage is completely wiped out, and they even have a lot of casinos now are using these machines. They call them constant shuffle. So that means that the cards are actually being constantly shuffled all the time. So you can take 6, 8, 10 decks and the cards are being shuffled all the time. So you could end up seeing the same cards throughout a session. So there's just no advantage in it, and it's completely impossible. So I wouldn't even try. It's not even worth the effort. It's completely impossible to count cards at a casino. I want you to play to have fun, and remember that gambling is entertainment, and it's never meant for you to make a living with. You're not going to make a living playing blackjack. If someone tells you that you are, there's a system out there to beat it. It's not real, folks. There's systems online, and they're just completely fake. So don't fall for that, and do never pay anybody for any kind of system, because they just don't work. If they had a system that worked, think about it, they would go in and they would play at the casino and they would get rich. So it's something you do strictly for entertainment. And like I said, blackjack, they do not have a huge house edge. So you're gonna, over time, any casino game, I've talked about that in other videos. You can watch some of our other casino videos, that you're expected to lose money over time. So it's always something you should do for entertainment. And if you've played for 2, 3, 4 hours and you're close to even, you should be very, very satisfied and you had a good time. And that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. So best of luck to you, and I hope that these 10 tips helped you out. So hope you enjoyed this video, and best of luck at the blackjack tables.